So I'm here today with Michelle Bridges, whose fertility story really took a very unexpected turn from starting IVF to a wonderful, unexpected and natural pregnancy, right through to a perimenopausal journey, which really left her feeling very let down by the system. Michelle Bridges, welcome to Couch Conversations.
Jenny, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to see you again.
I'm going to start by just saying to you, would you share a little bit about your story with us and your expectations in terms of having a baby?
Sure. I mean, look, I really didn't even think I was possibly going to have a child. I was so career-driven and so career-focused, and I was definitely not maternalistic. You know, my friends would walk towards me with their brand new baby in a pram, and I'd be like, "Oh, look at the dogs!" You know, that's how. And my other friend would be like, "Well, surely you're supposed to notice the baby." So when I said to my friends eventually, when I was pregnant, fast forward to that moment, I think that they were all a bit worried about what I'd be like because nobody ever saw me as a maternal woman. But I decided that I was now 41 at the time and thought, geez, I better get on that, you know, like if I'm going to do it, I better do it now. And then I decided that I was going to do it. And I just thought maybe I should just go and do IVF straight off the bat because I didn't even know if I could fall pregnant.
So was egg freezing something that you'd ever thought about?
Look, it's a great question because I did think about it in my late 30s. And funnily enough too, Jenny, I had this weird experience. I don't know if this is normal or not, but
everything's normal. Everyone's got their own story.
I think it was around 35 that I just did not want to take the pill anymore. It wasn't because I wanted to get pregnant. Far be it. My career was like stratospheric at 35. So, but I just didn't, my body didn't want me to take that pill anymore. Just putting it in my mouth made me feel like I don't know what it was, but and I said to my husband at the time, I'm going to stop taking the pill. He goes, really? I said, I'm not going to get pregnant. I don't want to get pregnant, but I don't want to take this pill anymore. So I stopped taking it in my mid-30s.
So you hadn't been using any contraception for a long time?
Correct.
Like none?
None. Withdrawal method?
Yeah, 50%.
Does that count?
50%. It counts, but it's 50% effective. So basically, if you had come in at that point, I would already be thinking this person's going to have problems getting pregnant.
Right. Yeah,
but that
because
was
I hadn't fallen pregnant.
No, it was not on your radar.
And I wasn't on contraception.
No.
So then I was like, you know, I had that was my husband at the time, and then that relationship had its due course, and it was in a separate relationship in my now early 40s that I decided that I was going to do it.
And it suddenly happened. So you're the person who just says, I'm going to do it, it's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
With everything in my life, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. Let's make it happen. Bang.
And I suppose a lot of people would come to that point after processing it for a long time in the back of their mind. But it was just something that you thought, I'm going to have a baby and I'm going to do it and it's going to be now.
Yes, very correct. But to your point, back earlier in my 30s, I do recall thinking, oh, look, I definitely don't want to get pregnant now. And I've probably got 3 or 4 years of really big work to do. Maybe I should freeze my eggs. And I looked into it and it just wasn't available then. They just didn't have the technology.
The technology was not available back then.
No.
But now it opens up another option for women. Like there is egg freezing. And I would say I see too many women who come to see me in their late 30s wanting to have a second baby and thinking and saying to me as well, I thought about this in my early 30s and I just never got around to it. The technology is really there now.
Yeah.
It's an option, but it wasn't an option for you back then.
No, it was not an option for me, but I say the same thing to ladies that I speak to now. In fact, I was only just speaking to a 32-year-old girl who's considering getting pregnant.
She's the one who needs to do it.
And
she
said,
sure.
oh, I'm doing a detox and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. I'm cleaning, you know. I went and had some tests and I'm thinking about falling pregnant. And I said, do it now.
Yeah.
Dr. Jenny Cook, I'm about to go and do a podcast with her this afternoon. And she would say the same thing.
Do it now. Do it now.
Yeah. Go home and have sex immediately.
Or if not, I think have a plan to do something. I always talk to women about what their time frame is. And I'm going to say you were pushing those ovaries for all they were worth. You were 41.
Well, I was actually 42. No, sorry, what am I saying? When I eventually fell pregnant, I was 44.
And this is also what we need to talk about today. That is amazing. Like, that is amazing. It happens rarely. It happens rarely. It happens. It happened to you, and it's amazing. But most women cannot rely on that. The fact that they'll just meet someone and fall pregnant at 44.
Do you know, like I said to you before when we did my podcast, you know, I think I was very flippant with my fertility, and I just thought I'll get knocked up. It'll happen when I want it to happen. I kind of knew that it was a bit rare because, you know, I heard the word geriatric and I was like, put your head back in, please. Geriatric, what? And the doctors that I was working with at the time said, look, it can happen. They were pretty positive. So I wasn't feeling any sort of nervousness about it. I was curious as to whether it could happen. And then it happened, which was great. And then my mum rang me like years after I'd had Axel. He might have been 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And she rang me and she said, Michelle, Axel is a miracle. Yeah. And I said, yeah, Mum, he's a miracle. I know. Yeah, he's great. And then I just sort of took that in a little bit. But the nail in the coffin was when I spoke to you and I met you for the first time and I said, yeah, I fell pregnant at 44. And the look on your face.
Yeah, I was stunned.
I was like, oh, okay.
It's like, you know, I said to you, it's 1% of women can do it. And you're that 1%. You wouldn't rely on that. Like I say, the average woman cannot rely on that happening at 44. I would strongly recommend, like I say, having a plan in place and being proactive. And egg freezing is one of those options. But how wonderful for you.
I feel really blessed.
How wonderful you. You're very blessed.
I feel really blessed. It's so funny. I don't know if I told you this story though, is when I said, right, I'm going to have a baby. And I thought, well, I better get on this. Like, there's no time to waste. I don't have a 5-year bandwidth to kind of like keep going and trying. I better just get on it. So not knowing whether I could or couldn't, I just thought, I'll just do IVF. So
talk me through that process. Yeah. So you were single at the time?
No, I had a boyfriend at the time. I had a partner at the time. So when I decided that I was going to go for IVF, whether I could get pregnant quickly or not, I just thought, let's just go for that. So I started doing my research and I went to a clinic and I had some tests done, blood work done, and then I had what I can only call, you will know what this is, I don't know what it's called. I had like a full clean out service where they put water in there.
Yeah, so it's called a tubal flush.
Okay, tubal flush.
if someone ever comes in and says, I want to do everything I can to maximise my natural fertility, after going through lifestyle, diet and everything, a tubal flush would be something that I would recommend. Women, it certainly gives you the edge in terms of falling pregnant. We say for about 3 months.
Yeah, they said that. Not only will they see if there's any issues in there, but it'll give it a bit of a clean out.
Mucus plugs, yeah.
Yeah. And when I was there, I'm watching it up on the screen, they said, oh, yeah, you've got eggs there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do this, Michelle. And I'm like, great. So then I went and had my sit-down discussion about all the drugs that I had to take.
And how did you feel about that? Did you feel you were being railroaded into it, or how did you feel?
I felt overwhelmed because I was just about to start Biggest Loser.
Yeah.
And like 3 to 4 months of heavy, intensive filming. And when I was taking the contraceptive pill, half the time I'd never even remember that, let alone this complexity of dates and timing and injections. And I did feel like, okay, I can do this. So that took was like an hour. Because at the time I was very well known in the media and they were getting me in through the back door on a Saturday morning when they weren't even open to try and make sure I didn't get my photo taken because I didn't want anyone knowing I was doing this. And when I finally got through all of that and I walked out with my shopping bag of, drugs and all the information, I swear to you, I turned to the woman over my shoulder and I said, imagine if I was pregnant.
And
I went home and I had to start my injection on day 2 of my period. I knew my period was going to start on Monday.
And it never started.
Yeah.
And that's a wonderful story. And that's a very happy
I took
story.
the drugs back, so I didn't have to pay for them. That's the better part of the story, frankly.
No, you did it by yourself. You did it naturally.
Yeah, it was just like it just happened. I
So
suppose.
can I ask, was that in the month that you had that tubal flush? Or you can't remember?
No, it would have been very
The month
close.
after.
It was pretty much I had this step, that step. I was also put on a drug called DHEA.
Yeah. So if a woman comes in her early 40s, ever since fertility has been around, we have always tried to find that silver bullet to improve egg quality. There's more evidence for DHEA than anything, but I would recommend my own combination of supplements.
I mean, that's just what happened for me. I mean, I'm sure
and that may have helped. That may have given you the edge.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, like that was easily 11 years ago now.
Yeah.
Because Axel's 10. So I'm sure technology and information has probably evolved in that decade. But that's where I was at with that. And then to sort of go, wow, I'm actually really pregnant.
And how did you feel then?
I was so ecstatic.
So it really was what you wanted.
I was so in. I was all in, and I don't want to say this too loudly because I know someone's going to want to headbutt me, but I actually had the world's best pregnancy. I loved it.
No, that was your experience, and I think that's what this is about. It's not a positive experience. If
For
some women have
everybody,
a very
I've
difficult
got
ride,
friends that have really bad ones,
but yeah, that was
I loved
wonderful.
it. Jenny, I loved being pregnant. I thought I was the most gorgeous, sexy,
And I'm sure you were.
voluptuous woman. I couldn't stop, I was so up myself.
You got there. What would you say to your 32-year-old self if you could have your time over again? Have you ever thought about that?
Start sooner.
Yeah.
Because, look, I had a very big career. I've had a really big life, and I'm so grateful for it. But if I'd had Axel in my 30s, knowing how much I loved being a mum or how much I love being a mum, I probably would have had a basketball team by now.
But I suppose that's life. But then you also have to say maybe you wouldn't have done all those other amazing things.
But then I
that
wouldn't
you've
have
done.
no, there's no way I would have done, I've pretty much reverse engineered my life.
Yeah.
Like I did all of my career and then had my baby closer to the end of it, which was very fortunate. But it means now that for me, I'm not in my 30s or 40s. I'm now in my 50s. But I now get to do all the things that my mum could never do for me but wanted to, that being drop me off at school, pick me up from school, be at the athletics carnival, be at the swimming carnival, take him to tutoring, pick him up from tutoring, like all of the things that my mum could never, ever, ever do for me.
Yeah.
I get to do that because I happened to, by chance, reverse engineer my life. And I'm still fit and healthy. Like I know I'm 55. I know when my mum was 55, she would definitely not be as fit and strong as I am today. So, and that's again a blessing that was part of my job. That's kind of kept me very able-bodied.
So this is something I hadn't focused on before. You actually went into The Biggest Loser and you were pregnant and no one knew.
No one knew.
No one knew.
Oh my God, Jenny, that was just a nightmare because like if it got into the media, it would have been a big thing and I didn't want to take it away from the show and my job on the show. So I told the makeup artist. She was the only one that knew.
Why did you tell her?
Because she was my buddy. She was my partner in crime. She was the makeup artist on that show for 10 years. So I knew her. This was my last year on the show as well. I didn't know it was going to be my last year on the show, but it was. So we'd known each other for 10 years. And I told her because we had to keep a secret.
Yeah.
So because I was getting bigger.
Yeah.
So at the end, getting closer to the end of the show, it was thankfully getting a bit cooler. And I was wearing a puffer vest.
Okay.
And
then you did the reveal.
Well, no, I did not. But the cameraman was saying to Marnie, the hair and makeup artist, can you get her to take the puffer vest on? She's like in it all the time.
She
And
can't.
Marnie's like, it's cold. She's leaving it on.
She's living her best life with the puffer jacket on.
And
I
the
would have
other-
thought you'd have to talk to wardrobe.
Well, everything's lycra, so they're going to see it without the puffer vest, right? But then at very close to the end of the show, which is when I was almost at 12 weeks, they do a thing where it's train the trainer. And so all of the contestants, it's payback time.
I'm going to say it was time to come clean at 12 weeks.
Oh, I had to. I had to, because they put you on the treadmill until you throw up, and then they make you do 678
and you didn't
burpees.
need to go on a treadmill to throw up.
No. So in the end, I had to come clean to the producers of the show and say, listen, I'm pregnant. I can't do train the trainer.
But I think they could, I mean, it's a really positive story, but like look at your lifestyle and how you've focused on health and being fit. They could absolutely turn that into an even more positive story.
Yeah. I mean, look, at the end when we did the finale, which is shot a couple of weeks after they leave the house, at the finale I walked out on stage and
everyone would have just
and they were like, oh my,
clapped and said that you look amazing.
Fun. But yeah, so I was pregnant throughout that show. It's so funny because one of my contestants was having a baby. And he's like crying because he's not with his wife and she's pregnant, and he's got the photograph of the baby in the stomach. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe how close to the bone this is.
Yeah. And you just had to keep quiet.
No, I did.
And then the pregnancy was great, and now you've got Axel.
Yeah, it was. I was. Look, right or wrong, I don't know. I could only go by what I was told at that time, but I was informed that it would be better for me to have a C-section and not have a natural birth.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? But I kept thinking, well, I'm not the professional here. They are. And I don't, it's not about me. It's about making sure I have a healthy baby. So it was a bit weird choosing the day, because then I thought, well, that's his birthday and I've gone and chosen it. But I guess it was close to when he would be arriving. There was no complications. It was a great day.
You used the word geriatric.
Yeah.
I resent that word.
So do I.
I never use that word. I never, ever use that word to a woman who's in her late 30s, early 40s, wanting to have a baby. And I feel that's an example of the medical fraternity labelling you and saying, you know what, you're old, you can't do this. And that's not the case. That's not what we should be doing. It's certainly not what I do. I resent that word. I was that woman as well. When women come into me and they say, I'm 39 and I want to have 2 babies, I think, oh, you've got an uphill battle. And then I think, actually, I might have done that. It can happen. I resent the word geriatric. We are there to support women, to encourage women. And I mentioned before about what you can do to maximise your own fertility. You don't have to sign up for IVF. I do IVF. I love IVF. I will support women through IVF, but it's not the solution for everyone. There is absolutely a lot of your story that I know about that I can relate to. I was also that career-driven woman in my late 30s who, wanted to have children. And I've got a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old who was just here before. I think the biggest thing is knowing that you can do it. I think someone telling you you're a geriatric really doesn't get you in the right headspace at all. It makes you think it's an uphill battle. I say to women, I plant that seed. I said to you before, what would you tell your 32-year-old self? I plant that seed in the mind of that 32-year-old woman. Where are you going? Do you want to have a baby? How many do you want to have? What is your time frame? Where do you see yourself? You can't wake up one day and think, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it now. You need to prepare yourself for it. You had an amazing lifestyle and you still do, really healthy, like I say, maximising fertility, all the exercise and everything. I ask women about alcohol and smoking and everything. Cigarettes are absolutely out. I focus on all of that.
Yeah.
Yes, IVF has a role to play.
Yeah.
But I'll say again, it's not the answer for everyone, and clearly it wasn't the answer for you. We're talking about the importance of diet and lifestyle. Having your weight in just the BMI range, 20 to 25 is important. And I'll get out my phone and work out what the BMI is, whether a woman needs to lose weight, or in some cases even put on weight, to get into that normal range. A big part of weight management now is the GLP-1s. Do you have an opinion?
Look, I do have an opinion, but before I launch into that, you've just reminded me again, look, working on the show The Biggest Loser, our resident doctor who was there for the full 10 years was Dr. Norman Swan.
Oh, okay.
And he would come in regularly and talk about all the different reasons about, why it's healthy to get your weight into a normal, healthy weight range. And one of the things was, I remember he was very clear and very adamant about being outside of that normal weight, a healthy weight range. The further away you were from it, it was like you were a walking contraception pill. That's what he would say.
Yeah, no, you're right. And he's right, obviously he's right. And those pregnancies that you've seen with women coming and couples coming on your program, women don't always ovulate or not ovulate on a regular basis when they're overweight. And that would be a big part of what you're seeing.
Yeah, and we had a lady she was on my team actually her backstory, for want of a better way of explaining it, was she was desperate to have a baby. So he came on the show specifically at a point in time where he spoke about that. And he basically, said, you're a walking contraception pill whilst you are in that outside of your now, I'm not a doctor, but that's what he said. So I took that on and thought, wow, that's big news for someone that really wants to have a baby.
That's a big driver to lose weight.
That's a big driver. Yeah. But you asked about GLP-1s.
So the current, we don't know, like the recommendation is that you stop them 3 months before you're trying to fall pregnant and categorically not during a pregnancy.
Right, yeah.
So you do need another strategy for you do need another strategy, which is you have to focus on
diet. You need a backup strategy.
You need
the
scaffolding,
to hold. And so my take on GLP-1s is I don't poo-poo it. Like if it's going to help someone get that ball rolling down the road towards where they want to head, great. However, I would put with a preface of, if you're going to go to those, some people would call it extremes, some people wouldn't. But if you're going to go take those measures, you're going to use the money, the outlay to be injecting something into your body to help you lose the weight, then that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Make sure you back yourself up with a really successful plan that gives you the scaffolding to give it the best bang for buck.
Yeah.
So for me, then my personal point of view would be, okay, do that, but come and do my program, or get yourself on a plan that educates you around nutrition, that educates you around reasonably consistent exercise and movement, mobility, flexibility, that educates you around a different way of thinking. Take those glasses off and you're going to put a new set of glasses on and look through it with a different lens to be able to then support what it is you're now going to do, and you've made a great effort to do it, so that when you come off it, because like anything, you can't be on most things forever, the
results are long-lasting.
It carries you through.
Yeah, I think that's all very sensible. I would say that as well. I'm sure they've got a role to play, but they're not a standalone.
No, definitely not. Yeah. But let's be honest, Dr. Jenny, they're here to stay. They're not going anywhere. So, I think to myself, well, rather than lean away from it and go, I'll lean into it and say, okay, well, it's happening, it's in the market, but I want to ensure your success. And this, in my view, is probably the best way to do it.
Yeah.
You can't just think that's going to work and then sit on the couch and watch YouTube, It's still kind of, it almost defeats the purpose, really, if you're going to go to that length.
Yeah. You don't happen to know if she ended up having a baby? You don't know?
No, I actually don't know.
Yeah.
She disappeared into the ether, which is what some of them do from when they finish that show, doing a reality show for 3 months, being locked in a house with no communication to the outside world.
It's a big ask.
To people. Some of them stay very close to you and others just head out the door.
And do you think that they took on what they learned about diet and lifestyle, moving, exercise.
Not some. Yes, absolutely. Some of them went on to become personal trainers and open their own gym.
Okay, so
that's one extreme, and then others just went straight back to the same lifestyle and put it all back on again. It's a really mixed bag, and a lot of it depends on the environment to which they go back to, because the environment that they go back to often is exactly the same
as what they
left. And the people within it are very adamant that they're not going to change.
Yeah.
And in fact, are often quite jealous or quite against what's happened.
Yeah.
They suddenly have more energy.
There's so
they
much
suddenly feel great about themselves. They've got their confidence back. They're speaking up for themselves. And some people over here that they left that 3-4 months ago are like, who are you?
Yeah. So Axel is born, and then some years down the track, you start to feel unwell. Talk me through that.
Yeah, could just before we go there,
sorry.
just one more point, because I feel this is super important for me. Whilst I was pregnant, I said I had a great pregnancy. And I exercised throughout my entire pregnancy. I trained in the gym. I trained on the bike. I trained on the rowing machine. I lifted weights, all of it. I knew what I was doing because I'm a professional. So I was slowly paring it down, paring it back, and I knew what I was able to do and not able to do. I got slammed in the media for exercising while I was pregnant because I had photographs I was putting up on Instagram, and that people were like, what's she doing? She shouldn't be training that hard. Even my mum was a bit worried. I'm like, Mum, the research on a woman that exercises during pregnancy is phenomenal. How good it is for her, for the fetus, for the placenta, for the umbilical cord, for the lack of complications during the pregnancy.
You would be the pin-up model.
I'm training for the main event, baby. I'm training for the main event.
I think what I would say is that if you're really fit leading into it, you don't want to start an intense exercise program when you're pregnant.
That's a very clever, very good point.
If you're really, like, you knew exercise, you're a professional, you were fit before, you know how to safely continue that. I would not recommend that someone starts a big exercise program without professional supervision. I wouldn't
100%. And it's so interesting you say that, because I've had women in the past come to me when I was a PT and they'd say, I'm pregnant and I want to start getting
now
fit.
It's time to train for a marathon.
This is not the time to start doing that. Let's look at it, but let's be a bit measured about it. Whereas, a woman that's a regular, consistent exerciser, continuing on that path in a measured way is phenomenal.
I suppose the other thing is, and this is something that we've talked about before, there's a lot of pressure put on women about their image and what they look like afterwards and everything. And the media would have probably ripped into you for that as well. Is that right?
Yeah, I did. I got a fair bit of flack.
And they just need to leave women alone is what I would say.
I did. I remember putting up a workout with Axel in the pram and what I did for the workout, because everyone wants to know. And so I wrote up the workout so that people could follow it, and I got slammed for that.
And you know what? That's not right for everyone, but can everyone, just say again, to do it safely with the right supervision, and let's not put pressure on women to get back into training for a marathon.
No, I wanted to breastfeed.
When their baby is 1 day old.
Correct.
Yeah.
I wanted to breastfeed for as long as I possibly could, so rightly or right, I figured I thought to myself, if I really go all out into my training, I could lose my milk, and I don't want to do that. So I just went back to it in
a measured way.
Yeah, I mean, my training came down to the pregnancy. It was still there, but I slowly weaned it down. And then from there, it slowly weaned back up. It just was a
safe way of doing it. Yeah.
Common sense.
Yeah.
But yes, you're right. Once I got to my late 40s, I'm going to say maybe 48, 49.
Tell me about what was happening then.
I just started feeling a little off. I think I really noticed it in COVID, and I was putting it down to that. But then I think it was because there was a lot of all the distractions of my life had disappeared, like all of us.
Yeah.
So I was very intuitive of what was happening to me physically.
Yeah.
It was like I was in my own little echo chamber, where I think we all were during that time, and I was very, very in tuned into what was happening, and I was calling my best friend who lived in Sydney, and I was down in the Southern Highlands, and saying, I feel like I've got this sense of impending doom, that something bad is going to happen.
Your symptoms were mainly, it was how you felt. It was doom, it was depression. Was that what it was?
There was a few others as well. There was like this, my sleep, I would wake up, I've never had a hot flash, but I would wake up at night sweating, and my pajamas would be almost drenched, and I'd be like, oh, what is going on? And I'd have to change them. And so, but then I would be awake, and then I couldn't get back to sleep.
Yeah.
And then that would have a very big knock-on effect to the rest of the day. And then I was also waking up in the middle of the night. Do you remember the old internet dial-up sound? Remember we'd do the dial-up?
I think I probably do.
Remember the noise?
Yeah.
That's what I would wake up to in the middle of the night. I had tinnitus. I was like, have I got an internet problem in the house? What the hell? So that would wake me up.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So the hot, sweaty nights would wake me up. The tinnitus would wake me up or keep me awake and not enable me to get to sleep. The impending thoughts of doom once you're awake staring at the black ceiling. And then I also was starting to walk with a limp because of this chainsaw of ache that was
Muscle
happening
aches and pains.
in my hip. My hip. I would walk into the gym with a limp and people were like, are you okay? You were limping.
Yeah.
And I was taking Nurofen, I was taking ibuprofen, I was having acupuncture, I was having massage. Jenny, I would have bitten the head off a chicken if I thought that would take that pain away. It was so bad.
And who did you approach about that? Who did you talk to when you sought a medical opinion? Where did you go from there?
I was new to a country town.
Yeah.
And so I had to find myself a new GP who was fabulous. And I was going to that GP with feeling down, feeling isolated, a bit lost, very not my normal self. I'm a very go girl.
Yeah.
This ache in my hip.
But the giveaway was the night sweats.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is not a doubt in my mind with all of that and night sweats. I know what it is.
Well, we had my bloods taken. And interestingly, which I didn't know at the time.
Okay, the bloods may or may not give you the answer.
No, that's true. However, you can help me out with this, but certainly through the research I've done for my podcast, for my program, and for my book. Well, this is when I was researching for the menopause method, and I didn't even know perimenopause, that was a word at that time. We're talking like 6 years ago. Didn't even know that perimenopause was a thing. Never heard of it before in my life. But I had all these women at me saying, can you do a menopause program with the 12-week body transformation? We really want one. And I thought,
what's that?
Well, two things. I knew what menopause was. I thought I did at the time. I had a thing run through my mind, and I'm not going to lie. I thought to myself, do I really want to be that woman that talks about menopause? Like, am I admitting my age? Will this affect my career?
And you know where that's coming from? That's coming from society and the media putting labels on 100%. Women and saying you've got to be young, you've got to be beautiful, you're
in the
got
fitness
to be
industry, you've got to look a certain
slim,
way.
all of that.
I snapped myself out of it, and I thought, that's ridiculous, Michelle. You're actually you're actually allowing all of what you just said to perpetuate. So I was like, I'm going to do it. So I started researching simultaneously to this happening in my life,
and
this
suddenly,
private thing. And then little by little, the pieces started coming together. And I remember listening to a podcast from a doctor from the US, actually, and she specialises in menopause. And she was saying all the menopausal women that come into my office, all of them, their vitamin D levels are absolutely through the floor deficient, and their bad cholesterol, LDL, has increased. And I literally was in Westfields Bondi Junction walking through, and I stopped and went, oh, that was my blood work.
Yeah.
And that was the final penny to drop that I went, I'm perimenopausal.
Yeah. But you had seen doctors
And I was
around
seeing
that
this
time.
doctor, she's giving me antidepressants. That was one of the first things she prescribed for me was antidepressants. And I, in fact, start my book, is the first line in my book is I walk out with a script in my hand. I'll never forget the day. I sat in the car, I stared out the window, and I thought, without sounding like a dick, I said, I'm Michelle Bridges.
I don't take antidepressants.
I'm sitting here what's happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who am I?
Yeah.
Why can't I recognize who I am anymore?
Yeah, you knew that there was something more.
So
depression is a real thing.
I felt like I was
depression is a real thing, absolutely. But with that constellation of symptoms that you had, it wasn't that. It was more than that.
Yeah, and look, I don't deny the prescription of antidepressants. I think they're brilliant.
Absolutely.
They're brilliant. They work really well for a lot of people. But I was it shook me.
Yeah.
I was knocked on my ass with that. And with me having to still do the research for the Menopause Method program, and then the pieces of the puzzle came together, and I was actually interviewing multiple women, GPs, doctors that specialised. I learnt so much from them, and I went down the path of exploring further options for me, which is a personal choice.
Yeah.
I think women taking hormones for women, taking
It's not right for everyone, but there's absolutely a role for it.
It's not right. Menopause hormone replacement.
It's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone.
But there's a role for it.
But everyone deserves
the information.
The information.
And I think what comes out of this is that women need to advocate. Women have been gaslit by society for too long. And I mean, it's not only menopause, it's with their pain, with their heavy bleeding.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about menopause. They need to advocate for themselves.
When I figured out what was going on for me, I felt this overwhelming sense of, oh, this makes sense, simultaneously feeling really freaking pissed off that I'd never been given this information. I'm in the health and fitness industry.
Yeah.
If I don't know this stuff, then goodness knows the general public certainly aren't. And then to even expect a man to understand it, well, forget that.
No, and that's why we talk about it, and we talk about things and we get the message out there.
Well, now we're having that conversation. I think it's really been probably in the last 5 years that this conversation has become so open and so transparent.
But the other thing is that it's okay, there is a solution. And women don't need to be labelled and to think that they're lesser now because they're getting older. That's not the case. Menopause is a part of life. Perimenopause is a part of life. And it's something that we can talk about.
Absolutely.
And do something about.
I've always been someone to kind of go against the grain with all of my work. And in most cases, for me in my career, it's actually been quite successful that I've done that. Just happens to be that way. I like to fight the system a bit. And so I thought, I want to change the narrative around this. Like, no, I don't want to be the waving of the white flag.
Yeah.
Like I see this as potentially an opportunity. You know, you're at a crossroads. You can either head down the right path or you can head down the left path. Either one is going to take you to a different destination. Exactly. And what a profound opportunity at this time of your life when you've been there, done that. You know, had a few hard hits, you've grown a bit, you've got a bit of wisdom, you know who you are in the world, and now you've got this real opportunity to take stock of your life and where you now want to head into those next chapters. I actually find that quite exciting.
Yeah. That's really turning that into a really positive, that's wonderful. I mean, I can tell you what I would say to a woman who came to see me with all of that. I would reassure her that it's very common, that she's not alone. I would talk to her about vitamin D, weight-bearing exercises. diet and lifestyle, like
Yeah.
all the non-medicated approaches.
Yeah, there's about 5 or 6 levers you can pull.
Yeah. We talk about bone density. Of course, I talk about the importance of breast surveillance, mammograms, regular pap smears.
Yeah.
But I would focus on her symptoms. And for you, it was problems sleeping. It was a lack of estrogen. I would talk to you about the potential role for a form of low-dose estrogen, transdermal estrogen, and we'd have to talk about progesterone as well. We'd talk about the case for and against. But if they gave that to you, it would have helped with your sleep.
Well, Dr. Jenny, they did give that to me.
And I would say within a very short period of time, you were feeling a hell of a lot better.
OMG.
Yes. OMG.
Like, holy shit. This gnawing chainsaw of a hip, I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot I even had that.
And
I was back to running.
And the tinnitus.
Gone.
The depression and the feeling of doom.
Pretty much gone. I mean,
Yeah.
every now and again you have a wobbly day, but that I think was normal. Not what was happening before wasn't normal. The sleeping, virtually back to normal. Like day and night difference.
And now you've got this opportunity to tell other women about it.
Yeah, I don't want to be a pusher of hormone replacement therapy at all, but it did absolutely change my life.
And I'm not saying it's like IVF.
But it's the options.
It's like IVF. It's like IVF. It's not that it's only hormones or it's only IVF. There's a whole range of things that you address around it. And like you say, changing the narrative and talking about it.
It's powerful.
Thank you. Michelle Bridges, thank you so much for being so open about your journey, to letting other women know about what you've done, and, to taking the time to talk to us here.
Anything for you. You're a darling. I just love you. I love you so much. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.